Our southern weather is unpredictable.
We know you've seen a thing or two.
Like heavy rainstorms, extreme heat, and flying debris.
Your New South windows are custom built for your home and designed for extreme conditions.
That's why you need New South by your side.
Enjoy comfort, safety, and security.
We install peace of mind with our lifetime guarantee. Superior Windows, factory direct.
New South proud.
Buy more, save more. Volume discounts on 4 or more windows.
Time, weather, and
Always. How you doing, everybody? I'm Chief Meteorologist Denis Phillips. Heat's still the hot topic of weather conversation, right? Just smashed the previous record for rainfall in Tampa. Still a very nice day. We've got some clouds out there, even a couple of sprinkles as another front rolls through the area. Most of us wake up to sunshine and then very warm temperatures in the afternoon. For temperatures, they're going up and they're staying up. Really nice forecast, especially if you're planning on going to the beach or the pool. Rain chances very slim. It's another beautiful day in store. It's going to bring us a very high chance of storms. Isolated showers across the area. Mother Nature likes to remind us that it isn't set by a calendar. We're always on it for you, just in case things begin to pop.
Streaming from the ABC Action Weather Center in Studio A, this is Denis Phillips Live.
Sponsored by New South Window Solutions. Made in Florida for Florida homes by Florida workers.
How you doing, everybody? ABC Action News Chief Meteorologist Denis Phillips, and I am trying my hand at any kind of streaming I can possibly come up with. If this bothers you right here, my apologies, but I have to let the folks on TikTok be part of this live stream. For the life of me, I have not figured out how to send a stream key out to TikTok so it can be part of the entire group that we have here, which we have 11 billion people as my guess on a night like tonight, when we have YouTube running, we have X running / Twitter, we have Facebook Live, we have Instagram, and we have TikTok. Now, unfortunately, TikTok is not going to be able to get my graphics on this, but they're at least going to be able to hear the explanation. And that's the best I got, unless somebody can come up with an idea on how I can stream this into a TikTok feed. At this point, I don't think you can. So how you guys doing? It is a Friday night. We have got a lot of folks here on the chat here, and we got a lot to talk about. So let me see how many folks we have. Oops, I haven't even loaded this yet. Stand by. Let me load my Facebook stream, so we can see just how many folks are here. And we're going to talk about the blob that is in the Gulf. Yeah, we've got over a couple thousand right now, and I'm sure that's going to build. So clearly when we get tropics, yo to you, Sean. How goes it? Diet Dr. Pepper in hand. I broke it out. Now, you guys know I've been trying to cut down on the caffeine because I'm old and they tell you it's not good for you. But when there's a storm coming, I mean, let's be honest. You got to drink from the nectar of the gods. You just have to. So I got my Diet Dr. Pepper ready to roll. And we have a lot of folks out here. So I'm going to try to do what we do on air when we have power outages and there's a hurricane coming in the Bay Area. Because what we often do is we simulcast on radio stations, right? If people are losing their power and they're unable to watch TV, now streaming evens the playing field out, but it used to be, and we still do have radio partners that we simulcast on, all right? So with that being said, I try to be a little more descriptive. Instead of saying, oh, do you see this area, this tornado coming into this area right now? People at home listening on the radio like, hey, dummy, I can't see it, I can only hear you. So I try to be a little bit more descriptive when we get that simulcast covering. Now, of course, the question is, and someone's on YouTube here, so we've got YouTube folks as well. So this is awesome. All right, so everybody's here, the gang's all here. If you've never done one of my chats before, we've been doing these for about 10 years. We started this, about 200 of us, a bunch of geeks, myself included, starting on live stream. And we used the Procaster software, and we're like trying to figure it out, and way before Facebook or TikTok or anything else was around. So we've been doing this for a while, but now clearly there's a much bigger audience. And in my mind, this is exactly what this is made for. When you've got a tropical system coming in that could potentially be dangerous to some folks, I want to get the information out to every platform I possibly can. I know there are some people on Facebook who hate TikTok. I know there are some people on TikTok who hate Facebook. I know everybody hates Twitter. No, that's not true. I know we've got X. I know we have YouTube, which a lot of YouTube folks, the new folks on YouTube. And of course, we have Instagram. So let's get on into it. Let's go ahead and talk about what's happening here. Clearly, the graphic you see behind me is just obviously hey, you know what I maybe could do? I'm thinking out loud here. But what if I were to be able to turn the TikTok camera and have it facing this monitor? Wait a minute. See, this is classic DPL here. We're just trying as we go. What if I were to put the camera right here? Would you guys be able to see the graphics there? What if I zoom in? Wait a minute. This might work. All right, it's mirrored, but at least you can kind of see the graphics. Wait. What do you think? I think that might work. Maybe, if my phone doesn't fall, which could very easily happen. All right. By the way, you like my stand? You like this height? I think this is going to work. All right, so there is the mirrored look of the graphics. So TikTok, I'm not going to be able to see your questions, but honestly, I can't see them anyway because I don't have my glasses on. I don't know if you'll be able to hear me. I think you will. And by the way, I did buy a microphone. So I'll be able to, I forgot to bring it with me, but I will be able to hook the microphone into my phone. So this might work. At least now you can see the graphics, all right? That's what I'm hoping to do. All right, well, I don't know if it's gonna work, but if it doesn't, tell me it stinks and I won't do it ever again. All right, obviously there's a look at what we have going on. August and September, clearly the high time of a tropical season. It's where we are now. You don't have to be a rocket science. You all know Labor Day always seems to be something that when we run into a hurricane or a tropical storm, Labor Day usually seems to be pretty close. I mean, the peak of the season is traditionally September 10th. Okay, so we're going to jump in a little bit, all right? The area in red is the hatched area from the National Hurricane Center. That is not a track. It's not an official track. We're going to actually get into the specificities of what they do and how they do it, so maybe it'll answer some questions. Because I was going on reading some comments on some other pages and some other sites, and it's very clear a lot of people have no concept of what goes on in putting a forecast out for a hurricane, okay, or a tropical storm. So it starts with this. This is put out by the Hurricane Center. It's an outlook where it gives a probability of the chance of something develops over the next 2 days, which is 40%, or the next 7 days, which is 80%. And you guys all see the red blob, the elephant in the room. We see it, right? You can't miss it. The area of rain, the area of convection is getting a little bit better organized. But there is no circulation, all right? When computer models are run, when we use those models to develop a forecast, it has to have a fixed point, a starting point, right? It has to have a center on where to make X marks the spot. There is no X marks the spot right now because there's a big old blob, right? And a change of 20 miles in where a center of a storm is can be massive error down the road. I use the example, if you're driving a car and you're down where that storm is right now, and you turn your steering wheel just a little bit, it might not move a lot in a mile, but in 100 miles, it'll be on the other side of the state. So a little change in where a storm is makes a massive change or margin of error for the models, right? So, and again, we're going to get a little sciencey tonight. It isn't just about, oh, here's where it's going to go. It's going to hit this day, back to you. No. This is going to be some description. We're going to go over hurricane kits. We're going to go over everything for the newbies, for the folks who have never been through this, and for the folks who have, and you're looking, and you have nothing else to do on a Friday night. So I get it, all right? So, for all the folks who are asking questions, I'm not even looking at the chat right this minute. I will after we go through the process, but it's going to be a while. Now we have over 3,000 people in. All right, so you get that red blob, okay? Eventually this weekend, the way this plays out, in my opinion, the Hurricane Center will issue what's called a PTC, a potential tropical cyclone advisory. Now, don't freak out over hearing the word cyclone. Cyclone is just a meteorological term for an area of low pressure. That's all it is. Some people say, oh, why are you calling it a cyclone? That's my voice. That's my standard voice when I'm mocking someone who's asking a question and being rude in doing so. But, oh, what are you trying to scare us with this cyclone talk? It's not a cyclone, it's a tropical storm. No. A cyclone in meteorology is just an area of low pressure. That's all it is, all right? It's a tropical low in this case, but it's still a cyclone. So here's what happens. Even though it may not be an area of low pressure yet, the Hurricane Center will often issue what's called a PTC, a potential tropical cyclone advisory, because it's in an area that's likely going to eventually make landfall and affect people. So their take is, look, and I think this is right on the money, their take is, okay, we don't have a depression yet, so we technically can't issue an advisory, but we're going to go ahead and issue one anyway because we want people to know in advance where it's going to go. Brilliant. It's what we're here for, to help you guys, to give you the information you need. And even though it may not be truly a tropical depression at that point, we know it's going to become one more than likely, even though the word potential, they're not going to issue it unless they know it's going to happen 99% of the time. So a PTC will be issued. And when a PTC is issued, unless it becomes a depression even before then, I mean, that's possible, although the Hurricane Center is saying they think it holds off until Sunday or Monday. But let's say it holds off until Monday. They'll issue a PTC at Sunday and the latest, and it's going to have a track. It'll have a track, and it'll have a forecast intensity just like any other Hurricane Center advisory. Those are issued every 6 hours, 5 a.m., 11 p.m., 11 a.m., 5 a.m., every 6 hours, okay? These advisories, which, by the way, this is going to be updated in a matter of minutes. Let's see if it's been updated yet, actually. The NHC at 8 o'clock will give us a new number on this system. Let's see if they've updated it yet. They have, and it is staying at 80%, but the medium range is now 50%. So you know what? Just for the sake of accuracy, I'm going to change this map because I'm all about accuracy, all right? So let's change it to 50 on my computer, and boom. We are looking at a 50% probability of development in the next 2 days, 80% in the next week. And by the way, I will read you what they say. Northwestern Caribbean Sea, Eastern Gulf of Mexico, AL 93. It just means an invest in the Atlantic, 93. More terminology, I'll explain. Shower and thunderstorm activity has increased since yesterday in association with an area of low pressure over the Northwestern Caribbean. Environmental conditions appear conducive for further development of this system during the next several days, and a tropical depression is likely to form late this weekend or early next week while it moves generally northward over the eastern Gulf of Mexico. Interests in the Yucatan, western Cuba, and Florida should monitor. So there you go. So we are now at 50%. Now, I will tell you a couple of things, and we will look at models in a little bit. That red-hatched area, I think, is right on the money. I absolutely think that is going to be the track of this storm. It is going to be a Florida storm. I have no doubt in my mind at this point. You always cover your butt at this point. You always got to throw it in there, right? By the way, let's see if we have anybody else in here. Yeah, it's like around 3,500 people. So that's a solid group wanting to know what's happening. Wait till Monday or Tuesday when it gets closer and we're in tropical storm warnings or hurricane watches. Then it goes crazy. All right, anyway. By the way, folks on TikTok, I hope you're doing okay. I'm trying to, if you're just watching, you just tuned in, I got the camera turned around so you can see our TV monitor on our studio camera, that you can kind of at least a little bit see the maps, okay? So there it is. So I think that red-hatched area is exactly what's going to happen. I think it's going to be anywhere from the Tampa Bay area up toward the Panhandle. I don't think this goes south. And I will tell you, if it does, it's because it's very weak and very ragged. Meteorology 101, strengthening tropical systems. The stronger the storm, the more north or poleward it will go, all right? So as this gets stronger, you would expect this storm to be on the left side of that red hatch. If it's weaker, you would expect it to be on the right side of the hatch. If it's really ragged and completely disorganized, maybe it stays even farther southeast. But at this point, that is not the forecast, all right? So let's talk next about the system itself. You can see it is certainly getting better organized with winds of only 25 miles an hour. Location 19.0 north, 85.5 west, pressure 1,008 millibars. Millibar pressure is just the way that we do it in meteorology as opposed to inches of mercury. And some of the models, when you talk about millibars, we'll talk a little bit about that as well. Because again, we have a lot of new folks around here. So Rebecca just asked me to please elaborate on this polar bear stuff. So, love that comment. Not polar bear, poleward. Poleward. P-O-L-E-W-A-R-D. In other words, to the north. Now, if you're in the South Pole, if you're south of the equator, that poleward would be south. But north of the equator, it is north. Good question. That's the kind of sciencey questions I like to hear on a weather chat. Okay, so I'm not even looking at the questions because I have no doubt in my mind these questions are all going to be, yeah, but I have a doctor's appointment at 8:30 on Thursday. I'm not even looking. I have a doctor's appointment at 8:30 on Thursday. Am I going to be okay to go? I have a flight going out Wednesday afternoon at 4 o'clock. Am I okay? I have to take my cat for a walk at 3:17 in the morning on Tuesday night. Will it get wet? Those are the questions I guarantee you that we are experiencing right now. Okay, and I will answer them all, but not tonight. All right, maybe I'll even answer them tonight. The cat one, I'll be all over. All right, so, by the way, is anyone on TikTok? Let me look, stand by. No, it'll mess up the camera. Not that the camera's in any good shape as it is right now, but I'm wondering if anybody's, hold on, stand by. I have to look. Because if no one's on TikTok, I can turn the phone off and won't worry about it. Let me look. Let me see. Is there anybody on there? Yeah, like 300 people. So that's not terrible, I guess. There's way more on Facebook and YouTube, but there are 300 people there. Okay. So there's a look again at what NOAA came out with. They bumped up the number of storm predictions. We talked about this before. For a number of reasons, the warmer water temperature is probably the biggest reason. There is a list of names. We are now to the I storm, which would be Idalia. They're colored. The ones that are colored are new ones. They're blue because the other previous storm was retired. Yeah, Rebecca, let me know just how horrible it is on TikTok, because I just have no idea. I'm sure it's pretty terrible. All right, when will the storm be named? My guess is Monday. All right, so we are in an El Nino. You've heard a lot about El Nino. El Nino is when you have a warm plume of water off the coast of South America that takes months and months to build, by the way. And when we have an El Nino, historically, that limits the amount of development in the Atlantic. It increases the Pacific, but it quite often limits the Atlantic. But that does not mean, and this is a case in point, that you cannot have a storm develop at another time. Look, meteorology is not climatology, very different things. And when you're talking about El Nino, it's more of a climatology perspective, a long-range overall perspective. Meteorology is the science of weather and science of change in a short-term period. And we all know weather can change very, very quickly. In the wintertime, when you have an El Nino, those red arrows there are the subtropical jet, and usually we get a much wetter winter in January and February with severe storms. That is always a possibility. So, and again, I'm not answering any questions right now in the chat because I can't see it, but I will shortly. I will tell you inland areas will not see as much as coastal areas. Unless it cuts across, and we'll talk about that possibility as well. And if you live in Polk County, you know that. Storms always love to go into Polk County. They go right across. Again, we'll talk about that. We peak out at September 10th, and then there's another little peak in the middle of October. All right, in August, as we finish up, these are the areas that are most likely to see development, and you can see in the Gulf of Mexico, clearly, look at the one on the right. Looks kind of familiar, doesn't it? The one on the right looks a lot like what's going on. Or, better yet, look at the one there. You also have development in the Northern Caribbean. Out in the far Atlantic, we do have action out there. None of it going to be impacting the U.S. at this point, so we're not worrying about it. Okay. Here's your scale. People interested in the hurricane scale. If this were to become a hurricane, I would think Cat 1 is about as high as it's going to go for a lot of reasons: drier air, hostile upper level winds, and the fact that it will be impacted by shear. That same shear, in a sense, will also accelerate its forward motion, causing it to go faster. Not blow faster, not blow harder, but move faster. If it moves faster, it's going to have less time to intensify over the Gulf. Got that? All right, you will be quizzed after this. Cat 1, typically you do not see structural damage. You do see some water issues, and that's something we're going to talk a lot about. Cat 2, you start to see roof issues. Typically, you don't see structural damage. Mobile homes, you do not want to be in a mobile home as a Cat 2 comes on through. You just don't. No such thing as heat lightning, Michelle, but thank you for participating. Everything is backwards on TikTok. Okay, Melissa, thank you. Yeah, I knew, and I don't know if I can mirror that or not. Again, my goal is to have a stream key that I can feed it to TikTok so it would be just like everybody else. But at this point, see the comments are still good-natured. And I like that, because when we have good-natured comments, it means you're not freaking out. If you were looking at this, though, that was a Cat 3 or a Cat 4 or even a Cat 5, I'm going to go ahead and take these graphics full. You don't need to see me. At that point, then we would be having major issues, but that is something we simply do not expect out of this system. All right? So we are going to be at a high tide, you know, and supermoon is not the issue. High tide is the issue. And when you happen to be at the highest tide of the month, which is going to be 3.0, a high tide of 3.0, then you're already starting with 1.5 feet more water than you started with. And then you add another 4 or 5 feet with water buildup if the storm surge comes in, which I think could be an issue for some areas around Pinellas County northward, but likely will be an issue for areas such as Cedar Key, northern Citrus County, and into the Big Bend area. And by the way, remember, it is not just about the water rise, it is also about the waves. You get waves on top of the water rise. And that is something to remember. All right, so we've already talked about the red hatched area, all right? We've already shown you that it is developing further. So let's go ahead and discuss a little bit about the models, okay? Because this is where confusion starts to come in. Now, first of all, you guys know me. I cannot quit the euro. I love the euro. I've always loved the euro. I cannot quit the euro. Anybody who's watched my chats for 15 years knows I have been accused, and probably with good reason, of being too enamored with the European model, even when it looked like it was on the downturn and not doing really well. I just can't quit you. I can't quit you, euro. So in saying that, the European has by far been the leader with this particular storm, and it's not even close. A week ago, the euro was showing moisture coming up, and I'll be honest, I wasn't really on the bandwagon with it. I forgot briefly my love and affinity for that model. But if you look, this is tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. This is the euro, all right? Check it out. This is Sunday morning at 8 a.m. At that point, you still do not really have development. Over to the east, that's Franklin. That is not our storm. That is Franklin. So this is Sunday morning. There's Franklin. This is our area of interest. According to the euro at this point, it is still not a tropical depression. Then you go to Monday morning, and then you have low pressure. Now, where that low actually forms is going to be massive in terms of where this actually goes. But, and again, let me be clear on something. This is just the euro guessing where this is going to start. Once we have a center to fix on, it is a lot easier to forecast where they're going to go, even though I'm pretty confident where this thing is going to go. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I was talking to Mike at Mike's Weather Page. Mike Boylan's a buddy of mine. You've mentioned him a couple of times already. I told him I don't think this is that difficult of a forecast in terms of track. This is a tricky forecast with intensity, but track not so much. Again, if we see it turn into a tropical storm by Monday, just north of Cuba, it's probably going to go north, and the most of this will stay west of the Bay Area. If it takes a little bit longer, it's going to probably go more to the east, more toward the Bay Area. But anyway, let's get back to it. So we're back on Monday, all right? This is Monday. This is Monday at 2 o'clock. Watch how fast this develops and watch how fast it moves. Monday at 8 o'clock, Tuesday morning at 2 a.m., Tuesday morning at 8 a.m., Tuesday afternoon at 2 o'clock, Tuesday evening at 8 o'clock, Wednesday morning overnight, Tuesday night, Wednesday morning at 2 a.m., equidistant latitudinally with the Bay Area. Wednesday morning, 8 a.m., already past us and making landfall in the Big Bend with about 1,000 millibars, maybe 993 millibars. Okay, remember we talked about millibars earlier? If the Euro is right, this is a tropical storm, a mid to high-end tropical storm. You'll see some scattered power outages. You'll have some rain, lots of rain. I'm talking about the Bay Area along the coast from I-75 west. Inland areas will not see as much rain and will have no impact at all for the most part with wind. If the Euro is right and it goes into the Big Bend, that's what we're thinking. Mid to high level tropical storm, gusts of maybe 65, an afternoon thunderstorm, rain with a name. That's if the Euro is right, okay? Let's say the GFS is right, hashtag cha-ching. If you're new to the chat, there's some joker on Twitter is like, oh, there's that voice again. Oh, every time you say GFS, I know they're paying you for it. So I'm like, dude, the GFS is a math problem. Who's going to pay me? But regardless, so every time we now show the GFS, I say hashtag cha-ching because I'm making some money out of the deal. Of course, I'm not. There's tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock. The GFS has been out to lunch on this most of the time. It's by far the latest to the party, but it now is finally showing it. There's Sunday morning. There's Monday morning. Farther to the west. Look how much farther. Bingo. This is what I was saying. Look where the GFS initializes. Look how far west it is, okay? Look at the Euro. It's more to the east. East, west. Just a little bit of difference makes a big difference in terms of where it's going. But more importantly than that, the GFS gets stronger. What did we say a stronger storm does? It goes north. It goes toward the polar bears, poleward. Actually, the polar bears are on the South Pole, aren't they? So that would be completely wrong. But it goes to the poles. It goes north, which is why the Panhandle gets more hurricanes than we do in Central Florida, because a stronger storm will go north. So there's the GFS going into the Panhandle as a Cat 1 hurricane, 8 a.m. on the 30th, which is what? Wednesday. Or is that Thursday? What day is the 30th? Let me look. 30th is Wednesday. So the GFS brings it in Wednesday morning as an accelerating, look how far it goes in each 6-hour period. Because a trough of low pressure off to the north is picking up its forward speed. Now, we can really get sciencey if you want to, and its forward speed also can be added to relative speed as you're sitting there on the coast waiting for it to come in. So just because there might be 75-mile-an-hour winds if it were to go into the Panhandle, if its forward speed is 25 miles an hour, then the actual relative speed that you would be experiencing of the wind would be even higher than that 75. Anyway, bottom line, point is, weaker storm, if it were to go into the Bay Area, let's say the Euro is wrong and it's farther south. The UK Met brings it into the Bay Area. It has even less time to get stronger. So if it were to go into the Bay Area, I think it's more likely, and again, it's Friday, folks. This doesn't arrive for 4 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 days. So a lot can change. It doesn't exist yet. But based on what we're seeing now, and we'll do another chat tomorrow and another one, by the way, tomorrow's my birthday. I'm going to do it anyway because I really don't celebrate birthdays too much anymore because I'm old. But regardless, I will still be there, except for going out to dinner with the kids. But besides that, I will be on here. So if it were to go into central Florida, it would be a weaker system, 50 to 55, and that would bring rain into Polk County. But if it moves up the west side, stays west of our coastline, inland areas will not get much rain. Streamers, you're just about done. We'll be back tomorrow night, and I'll give another edition. I don't know if you'll be on streaming. You have to watch us on Facebook. See ya. Okay, so streamers are gone. All right. Terry, it's your birthday tomorrow, too? Oh, that's awesome. Happy birthday. Okay, so there we go. So let's recap. Let me see if there's anybody on TikTok still, because if they're not, I'll just end the stream. Wait a minute. Let me look. There's like 155 people on TikTok, so it's certainly not a particularly large group, but they're loyal. You guys are loyal, so you know what? I won't end the stream. How many are on Facebook still? 3,000. So yeah, we got a lot more on Facebook and YouTube. All right, so let's recap. Red hatched area, over my shoulder, over my shoulder. That's what's developing, okay? Probably a PTC issued tomorrow. If not tomorrow, I would think on Sunday. Potential tropical cyclone, which will have a track. If I were to guess, I would say that track is probably going to be toward the Big Bend area as a strong tropical storm, 65 to 70, maybe a little higher. That's my thought right now. And it's 35 years of experience in working in this area and knowing how these things handle it. But here's the one thing that everybody's talked about, the water temperature. Yes, the water temperature is really warm. By the way, it's not so obscenely much warm as it was a couple of weeks ago. Water temperature, Clearwater is 89. It was 95. So it is coming down a little bit, but regardless, it is still very warm. So that is the question mark. That's the big question mark. And you know why? Because our computer models, I don't believe they're taking into account the extreme water temp that we've had now. I don't believe they can take that into account. I may be wrong, but I don't think so. So we're in new territory here with the water being as warm as it is right now. But it's not that much of a difference. Maybe 1.5 degrees. Now, granted, that's still significant in science, but the models are not blowing this up yet. The Euro is a global model, so it's not a high-resolution model. You know, the HAVS model is the new Hurricane Center model. That was apparently 15% more accurate last year than any other model. So says the press release. So the Tropical Tidbit site actually has the HAVS on there. I have not looked at it because it doesn't run until there's an invest, and now it is an invest. And by the way, all that means is the Hurricane Center gives it, deems it an entity, and they start running spaghetti models on it. And those spaghetti models right now are showing primarily the Tampa Bay area northward, up toward the Panhandle, just like the red hatched area. Okay? So there you go. I do want to go over, we looked at the models, couple of things, and I got to mention this as well because I've had a million people ask me today, what the heck is rule number 7? Rule number 7 is don't freak out unless I'm freaking out, we're fine. I started it back in 2012 when Hurricane Isaac was coming this way, and we had the RNC, the Republican National Convention was here, and everybody was freaking out because the hurricane was coming. I'm like, guys, we're fine. It's not going to be that bad. And I made these little rules. And number 7 was don't freak out unless I'm freaking out, we're fine. Now, I meant with Isaac, but it's turned out to be kind of a mantra that freaking out is the worst thing you can do when a storm's coming. So my point is we do have all of our rule number 7 clothing line and our cups and our mugs and everything, and the proceeds go to the Children's Miracle Network. So that's all on our Etsy page, and I show you that because so many people have asked about it today. So here it is. If you go on my Facebook page, you'll see the link, or just go to Etsy.com, search Rule 7 Shop, and you'll see all our Rule number 7 stuff, which these are the mugs and all that other stuff, and the water bottles and the wine tumblers. The clothing is in the Teespring. That's also on the link in today's post that I had on Facebook. So it is there, and I think I posted it on TikTok as well. So there's the new numbers again. It's orange short term. It's red long term. The track really has not changed from the Hurricane Center, from the Panhandle to the Tampa Bay area, not including Southwest Florida. quickly, for new folks, I want to go over hurricane kit preps. Because let's say, and we all know it can happen, weather may be a perfect science, but we don't understand it perfectly. What if we're wrong? What if this thing does unexpectedly do something that we don't anticipate and it gets stronger? I think it's unlikely, but it's not impossible, especially given the water temperatures. So we always say err on the side of caution and be prepared in case this does. Now, this is not a Michael. This is not an Irma. This is not an Ian. And let me tell you why. Those storms were already powerful hurricanes, minimal Cat 1, some more than that, when they approached this same area, this same body of water. All right? So they already had everything going. This particular one is just getting organized and will barely be a tropical depression or a storm Sunday into Monday. It just doesn't have the time to develop. There just wasn't the time. Well, how much time does it take to cook grits? 15 minutes? I'm quoting my cousin Vinny. You guys know I do that all the time. There wasn't time for them to go in and out of the shop and take all this. You guys know me. My Cousin Vinny is my favorite movie to quote. Anyway, they're like, people on TikTok are, what is he talking about? I quote my cousin Vinny all the time. Anyway, back to what I was saying. There's just not the time for people to go in and out of the no. For the storm to intensify to the levels of an Irma or an Ian or a Michael. There's just not. Even if it went through rapid intensification, which is 24 dropping millibars in 24 hours. From Monday to making landfall of Tuesday night or Wednesday morning, it just doesn't have the time. Okay? So, again, point is, you don't, and I know people, look, I know people fear for worst case scenarios. I totally get that. I totally understand that. Everybody fears for the worst. But look, don't let that fear get in the way of logic. And don't let people on social media tell you otherwise. Look, there is a best case scenario. There is a worst case scenario. We all know usually it's somewhere in the middle. Not always. Sometimes you do get best. Sometimes you get worst. But more often than not, it's somewhere in the middle. And the middle with this, a storm that's going to be sucking up some dry air, a storm that's going to have some hostile upper level winds to an extent. They'll be marginally conducive for development. I mean, we're still saying it could be a hurricane. Let me mark this on the tape, 8:07 and 29 seconds. This could still become a hurricane. But I do not expect it to become a significant major hurricane, a Cat 3 or a 4 or 5. And that's what people are freaking out about. And I get it. After Ian last year, and after Michael in the Panhandle, and after Irma, it's the last thing we want. But the ingredients are very different with this. I will acknowledge, though, with the water temperature, the one thing that we're not familiar with, comparing it to other storms, that makes it a little more challenging. A lot more challenging sometimes. But that's the way I'm looking at it right now. Okay? So tomorrow we'll talk more about it. Sunday we'll talk more about it. Jason will be in this weekend. Greg will be giving updates. Shay will be giving updates. Look, everybody has their favorites, and I tell you to find your favorite and stick with your favorite because you'll be hearing differing thoughts. But if you go on social media, pick your sources carefully because you're going to see people that only post worst case scenario, people that thrive in fear, people that get excited about storms. And I get that because I've actually been there. But I've learned as I've gotten older, my job is not just to get the weather right. My job is to try to get people through a storm while their sanity is kept intact. And by scaring people and by telling them this could happen, big, bold headlines with flames and red and exclamation marks and you're all going to die. I mean, almost, right? We've heard it. Matter of fact, that was said one time, I believe, on CNN. So my point is I try to be a little more even-keeled and realistic. I'm not going to sit here and say it cannot happen, but I would be flabbergasted if we're talking anything more than a 1. If it stays in the Gulf longer and goes into the Panhandle, it has an opportunity to get stronger. But because it will be accelerating, filling that trough, the odds are it won't have enough time to really get cranking. But that water temperature is the great equalizer, and that's the one that we're just not sure about. So we'll be on again tomorrow. We'll be on again Sunday, giving you updates. I want to go with this one. This will be the last thing, and then I'll try to answer some questions. So here is a look at what I believe is the best hurricane preps kit, and I'm going to post this on Facebook tonight because it doesn't get any better. And if you've seen this before, my apologies. I'll blow through it fast. Charge any device that provides light. We will lose power if this storm makes landfall anywhere near the Bay Area, even if it's just a tropical storm. We will lose power in some places. We will have some flooding, coastal flooding issues at high tide. That concerns me. Really does. Wednesday afternoon especially. Charge any device that and this is a good tip I'm going to list for all season long. Charge any device that provides light, especially if the powers go out at night, which it very well could this time. Laptops, tablets, cameras, video cameras, old phones. Old phones can still be used for 911. Glow sticks can provide light for a few hours. Wash all trash cans, big and small. This is stuff you could do this weekend. It's going to be a sunny, hot, dry weekend. Wash all trash cans, big and small, and fill them with water for flushing toilets. Line outdoor trash cans with bags, fill with water, and store in garage. Add bleach to sterilize. We live in Florida. This is stuff that you really need to keep in the back of your mind, because if this isn't the one, we still get others. This is standard operating procedure for Floridians. Fill every tub and sink with water. Cover sinks with saran wrap to keep it from collecting dust. Fill washing machine and leave lid up to store water. Fill old water bottles and other containers with water and keep near sinks for washing hands. Fill every Tupperware with water and store in the freezer. That will help keep food colder longer and serve as a backup water supply if your power goes out. Fill drinking cups with water and cover with saran wrap. Store as many as possible in fridge. The rest you can store on the counter and use first before any water bottles are opened. Ice is impossible to find after the storm. Reserve fridge space for storing tap water. Keep the sealed water bottles on the counter. Cook any meats in advance and other perishable food. You can freeze cooked food. Hard-boiled eggs for snacks the first day can be good. Be well hydrated. Avoid salty foods. Wash all dirty clothes and bed sheets. I'll tell you, this is one of the biggest things. You want to start clean, because if you're out of power for 5 or 6 days, things can get pretty stinky. Toss out expiring food, that sort of thing. Bring in your yard decor. Clean your environment. Again, scrub all bathrooms. Again, clean is a big way to start. Place everything you own that is important in a backpack or small file box that is easy to grab if you have to make a run for it. Don't expect that to be the case with this storm. Make sure you have cash on hand. Power outages, ATMs aren't working. Stock up on pet food. Refill medications. Most insurance companies allow 2 emergency refills. Fill up your propane tanks. You can heat soup cans, boil water, make coffee, other stuff besides just grilling meat. Get an extra if possible. Drop your AC in advance and lower your temperatures in your fridges, again, if you lose power. Gather all candles, flashlights, lighter, matches, batteries, and other items. Again, clean counters, mop floors. Pick your emergency safe place, such as a closet under the stairs. Store the items you'll need in that location for the brunt of the storm. Again, I don't think that will be this particular storm. But if it were to get unexpected heavy, then that's why that would be more likely to be used in that moment. Shower before the storm is scheduled to hit if you lose power. Keep baby wipes next to the toilet. Don't flush them. You do not want to risk clogging your toilet. Run your dishwasher. You don't want dirty, smelly dishes. Put a small suitcase in your car in case you have to evacuate. Check on all family members. Set up emergency backup plans. Bring your pets with you. Before the storm, unplug all electronics. There will be power surges during and after the storm. Gas up your car and have spare gas. Use plastic cups and paper plates. If anybody remembers Irma and Ian, trying to get gas was impossible 2 days before. Again, this is not an Irma or an Ian, and again, I just don't think this is that storm. But these are still good tips to hear. If you run out of your hot tap, if you run out of water, tap your hot water heater. It can have up to 30 gallons stored in there. That's something a lot of people forget about. Put water in balloons and store in the freezer. Take a video of all your stuff so you'd have for insurance. And this is my favorite one. If you leave and you don't know if your power went out, you put a penny on a cup of frozen water in your freezer. If you come back home and that penny is still on the top of that water cup, Even if you lost power, everything stayed frozen. But if that penny has fallen to the bottom of that cup, you lost power, everything thawed, and even if it refroze, the food is probably bad. I love that tip. That's my favorite tip. All right? So, there you have it. That is where we are right now. Terry, how you doing? Nice to see you. Take care of your chickens. Got to take care of take lots of pictures of your chickens. Terry. All right, so there you have it. Again, my point is on this, I can't, answering specific questions, let me give you an overview. Ask about tornadoes. Yes, if this storm gets close enough to our area that it makes landfall in the Big Bend, I expect there will be some tornado issues. They're usually very small tornadoes, but they typically pop up in the northeast quadrant of that storm. So let's one last time go over the details. All right? I expect the PTC will be issued by Sunday, which will give a track. The track, we'll see where it goes. I'm leaning toward the Big Bend with a mid to strong size tropical storm. Early thinking, it's gonna change. But that's my early thoughts, and I'm here to give you my thoughts, right? I may have to say, nope, I'm wrong. Tomorrow I change it. But that's my thoughts right now, okay? Timing, no issues on Monday. First half of Tuesday, you're okay. Starting Tuesday afternoon to Tuesday night, the Bay Area will start to experience some wind out of this. How strong wind will be how close this gets to the coast. If it gets to the coast, we could see 55 to 65 mile an hour winds. Think afternoon thunderstorm, but a prolonged period of time. There will be power outages. There will be some tree branches down. 55 to 60, you normally don't get a lot of trees down unless it's a dead tree and it was going to fall anyway. Rainfall, 4 to 6 inches of rain. I didn't show that map. Hold on. That was one map I did not get to. I don't think. Maybe I did. There's a look at rainfall. That red color, the bright red, is 4 to 5 inches up to 6 inches of rain. That is Sarasota County, Manatee County, all that is the coast. That is I-75 west from Sarasota to the Big Bend to the Panhandle. That is the exact area that is in a drought. So again, like we were saying, I know a lot of us have said earlier on this year, boy, what we need is just a nice little tropical storm to bring us rain to end this drought. You never wish a tropical storm on anybody, but that could very well be the case with this. If it gets stronger, it's probably going to be more to the west, and we won't get as much. And it would be more of a panhandle to the Big Bend area. And that's just something we'll have to see how it plays out. We just don't know. If it gets stronger, it stays west. If it goes weaker, it stays east. There you have it. All right? So that is about it. Flight comes in 4 o'clock on Tuesday, Sarah. You are close on that. Really close. Can't answer it. You're within a 3-hour window. It's that close. Thank you very much, Ivelisse. I appreciate it. I will be on every night live, Courtney. Yes, I will. I am looking at your comments now. So if you do have a question or a comment, I'm looking right now. Franklin should not circle back. You're welcome, Patty. Do we get rain either way? If it stays far enough offshore, we may not get much rain, but that is not the forecast right now. Labor Day will be fine. This will be gone by Thursday. Supposed to fly into Tampa Tuesday evening. Yes, I would fly in on Monday, Marjorie. If you can make the flight change, I would change it. I mean, again, it might not be bad. It hasn't developed yet. But if it were me and you could do it without costing you any money, I would fly in on Monday, not on Tuesday. Danny's asking about a Jurassic Park question. Wants to know if it's going to be bad enough for the dinosaurs to get out. If you remember, that was a much stronger storm than just a tropical storm in Jurassic Park. So I think the dinosaurs will be okay. Don't mess with the power grid, though. Don't do it. And don't climb the fence if the power's out, because it can get bad, all right? And you shouldn't be an attorney, because if you're an attorney, you'll get eaten. Thank you for that, Danny. Heat lightning, Pablo, will be everywhere. The biggest threat will be heat lightning. When we'll be out of Tampa? Wednesday afternoon. I will put those tips online, Jennifer, tonight. I do not know how these storms impact the shelling, Veronica, but I would think it churns everything up, so you would think it would be good. Jackie in Ohio, how you doing? Thank you, Terry, I appreciate it. Polk County, inland areas will not get much unless this thing goes across. If it makes landfall in the Bay Area and goes across, then Polk County probably get 50, 55. Because if it hits the Bay Area directly, it will be weaker because it won't have as much time to get stronger. It only gets stronger by going over the water. The supermoon, Tori, again, there's a lot of talk about the supermoon. Whatever, the supermoon isn't really the issue. The issue is that it happens to be a full moon at high tide. The supermoon might give you 2 or 3 inches more of water, literally. It's a big media thing. Oh, there's a supermoon and it looks bigger. Maybe. But if you look at the numbers on our high tide, the highest tide of the month in a supermoon month versus a non, it's about 3 inches. So whatever. It doesn't matter. What does matter is the timing of high tide on Wednesday, and that's at about 12:30 in St. Pete. So the timing of high tide is really, really important for this. The Keys, no issues at all. Tristan wants to know if this goes to the Panhandle. Will Tampa get much of anything? No. If this were to stay on the west side of that track, the Bay Area would get some rain along the coast and I think no wind. So it is a possibility. 10 a.m. flight on Wednesday. If this track is right, I think you're going to have a tough time getting in. They like the other way better on TikTok. Okay? All right? So see, let's go ahead and just check this out. Well, now I'm just talking. Yeah. So, all right. So what does TikTok have to say? Followed the live creator, South Tampa. Okay, South Tampa, Ballast Point. Yeah. So South Tampa, Shore Acres, any area that flooded with Ada, I would be really keeping a close eye on this. Now, if landfall is in the Big Bend, this is probably too ragged of a system to give us big issues. But if it is closer to us, the Bay Area, then I think there could be some water issues in those spots. Probably not as big as Ada, but certainly a possibility. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Englewood, no issues. Flying into Miami on Tuesday, you'll be fine. You will not need to evacuate. No one needs to evacuate. Someone asked about Palm Harbor. No. No one needs to evacuate okay, let me take a step back. Based on the current thinking of this is a tropical, mid to high level tropical storm, they would not have schools. Now, school would be out. If we're in a tropical storm warning, we're not going to have school. So that's potentially Wednesday, maybe a half day on Tuesday based on the thinking of the current track. We'll have to see how that plays out. So all of coastal Bay Area, Pasco, Pinellas, Sarasota, Manatee, if the track goes into the Big Bend, we're talking 45 to 55 mile an hour winds based on the current thinking. If this thing were to get bigger, faster, stronger, quoting $6 Million Man, forget. If it were to do that, then those winds would obviously be higher. But right now, this is my take. This is the way I do things. I'm not going to give what ifs. What if it becomes a Cat 5? What if it becomes, no. I'm going to give you what I think is going to happen based on my current thinking and the information I have right now. That can change. It's weather. So on Sunday, if I realize this is going to be stronger than I thought, maybe 970 millibars, then we bump up that number. But right now, I'm telling you what I expect. And I think coastal areas, based on that current track, will have winds of about 50 to 55, 60, gusting maybe a little higher. I think you'll have 4 to 6 inches of rain. And I think there will be some coastal flooding, some surge issues, 2-3 feet. That's what I'm thinking right now. Sunday, I might change. But right now, that is my prediction. And if, Joe, I would say probably a 12-pack a day. I've cut down. Wants to know how much Diet Dr. Pepper I'd be drinking. Flying back Wednesday, you're going to have a tough time getting out the first half of the day. I think in the afternoon, things will improve. Again, based on the current track, which is up closer to the Big Bend. And I say current track because officially there's no track yet. A track that I am anticipating, which is more Big Bend-ish. If the UK's Met is right, then it's closer to the Bay Area, but even still, not as strong because it's going to make landfall sooner than later, less time for it to develop. No arc alert. Well, I take that back. There actually might be an arc alert. I may issue an arc alert on Tuesday. You get 4 to 6 inches of rain, yeah, that's kind of an arc alert. I would think, the way schools work, let's say this plays out the way I'm thinking. I would say they may have a half day on Tuesday. Maybe get the whole day in on Tuesday. Stop after school activities, and then be off on Wednesday. Back on Thursday. If it plays out the way I'm thinking, that's kind of the way I would go with. Okay. So now they're saying they like the other way better on TikTok. But here I can see their questions. I couldn't see their questions before. Keep tapping the screen to push it to the FYP. I don't know what that means, but that sounds important. I think I need to know that. See, some people say that, I'm looking at their messages. Some people say they like this better. Some people like the other way better. Okay, that's the question. Meh wants to know if you can walk your goldfish at noon on Wednesday. Absolutely, because there's going to be enough rain for that goldfish to make it. See, those are the questions that I appreciate. I'm not lying. Those are the ones that I love. Okay, so fill the ponds north of Innisbrook. Let's hope so. You can tap to boost your live. I don't even know what that means. Wait a minute. Stand by. So what, I just tap? All I'm doing is giving myself hearts. So I don't think that's it. I think I'm just giving myself hearts. But this is pretty funny. If you're watching, I'm trying to figure out how to do TikTok, and clearly I'm an amateur. You have to tap. All right, we'll talk about this later. All right, is that about it, guys? Should we evacuate? No. Palm Harbor does not need to evacuate. No one will need to evacuate in the Bay Area. No one. No one. Based on the current track. If the Yanks are beating the Rays 5-1, oh, that's awful. Thank you for that update, but not really. Citrus County, I'm a little more concerned about. I'll be honest. Citrus County, closer to landfall, you could see some serious water issues on Wednesday. I am a little concerned about Citrus County. Fly kites in Gainesville on Wednesday, absolutely. Why not? All right, Port Charlotte, nothing. Wesley Chapel, again, I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole because I can't give you in good faith what I really think is going to happen in these places because we don't have a storm yet. We don't have low pressure. So I'm going to put a moratorium on answering specific spots until we have low pressure and a track. And then I'll stay here all night for that matter, okay? But I feel like I'd be doing a disservice giving you bad data if I'm trying to answer a specific city when we don't even have a storm yet. Flying out of Orlando Wednesday evening, I think you're fine. When will there be low pressure? Probably Sunday night. That's a good question. Power outages, yep, I do think there will be power outages. All right? So the O's are losing too. That's good. Good news. I grew up in winning lotto numbers. That's the one, Jennifer, I've always been hoping for myself. My ability does not extend into lotto. Should you take Wednesday off to watch the storm from your back porch? I would, Nick. Heck yeah. There's nothing better than a nice low and mid-sized tropical storm sitting there watching it come in. I mean, I'm a weather geek. That's what I do. And again, we are hoping that everyone stays safe. And I am a little concerned about the water rise along the coast. But at this point, that's kind of where we are. All right? So I think we're good. Please message me. I don't know. Can you message on TikTok? I don't know. I just opened my account 6 days ago, literally. Message me on TikTok what you would rather see, Message me if any really smart person knows how to take the stream key from TikTok and put it in my Restream program and be able to send it out so you guys will get the same graphics everybody else does. And I'd be able to see your questions on this. That is my ultimate dream in life, to be able to incorporate the two. So I don't think you need your life vests. But Meh has had 2 good questions. And the fact that I'm saying Meh is actually really funny in itself. All right, so guys, I think that's all we got. I hope this was somewhat useful to you, and we will do it again tomorrow night. Again, I'm not sure what time tomorrow. It won't be on our streaming app because I will, as I was saying, my kids are taking me out for my birthday. So it'll probably be in the evening sometime. I will be at my house, and we will just do the same thing. I'll go on TikTok. I'll have this up. But I'm serious. If anybody knows on TikTok how to find the stream code of a live broadcast prior to hitting live, and if I can find that stream code, I can then hook it into this. Here, let me show you. So I've got this thing right here. This is my Restream. See, and this is Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. It's every single one except for TikTok, because I don't know, and I don't know if it lets you, I don't know how to find a stream key for TikTok for that, all right? So thanks for coming by, guys. I appreciate it. Hopefully I helped you a little bit, and we will have more information tomorrow night, and I think by Sunday we'll have a track, and at that point I think we'll really be able to get all the answers, all right? So you guys have a great night. Thanks for watching. Appreciate your loyalty. Have a good night. I don't even know how to cut this thing off on TikTok. How do you hit end stream? Not a clue. I'll have to look at that in a second. So anyway, have a good night. We'll see you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Night, everybody.
Our southern weather is unpredictable.
We know you've seen a thing or two.
Like heavy rainstorms, extreme heat, and flying debris.
Your New South windows are custom built for your home and designed for extreme conditions.
That's why you need New South by your side.
Enjoy comfort, safety, and security.
We install peace of mind with our lifetime guarantee. Superior Windows, factory direct.
New South proud.
Buy more, save more. Volume discounts on 4 or more windows.